Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Back to the Blockbuster. My name is KS Bowling, and what up, Jack?
How we doing, people? It's a Monday. You're listening on a Thursday. It's Monday for us right now, so we're going through it. But that's why we record on Monday, so we can hang out, talk some cool stuff.
Yeah.
And guys, I'm gonna be honest here, man. I don't know what happened on the weekend. I was too busy. Anything happened? Also, before we get into the news, my aunt Momo. Wanted me to send her best wishes to you in your voice. She hopes you took it easy this weekend. If she meets you, hopefully she'll come out here eventually. You do not.
No, you saw. Well, as you can tell, my voice is back.
Back, baby.
I don't sound like I'm going through puberty again this week. Did I take it easy this weekend? No. You were there for some of it.
Yeah.
But it was still like it was a good time, and
Always
I'm
a
happy
good
I got
time in the South Bay.
yeah, and I got my voice back, and I didn't ruin it by going out this weekend. But shout out to your aunt for being worried about my vocals for
Momo, friend of the pod.
for this week's episode. Yeah, this is another week like we talked about. I did get some suggestions from people that sent me messages on G Reels about what to do the upcoming weeks and stuff because it's a dead zone. I am going to take the advice of one user today later because they wanted me to address the really awful box office weekend we had this weekend. Like the number one movie this weekend made $7 million. So the only bragging rights they had was that it debuted at number one. But if this is what it's going to be like until October, until at least Halloween ends, opens, and then especially Black Adam, it's going to be a very bleak September.
Yeah,
at the box office. There's nothing, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I don't know. I didn't watch anything really.
I did.
What did you watch?
Well, actually, it's kind of a segue. It's great. So we're gonna start off with the DC stuff, and I'll segue into what I watched. This is just for this segment. We'll go into the larger variety article in a little bit.
Yeah.
But if you didn't know, Jason Momoa had SEE come out. It's his Apple TV Plus show. And I know a lot of people don't really like it. They think it's just too Jason Momoa-y kind of thing where it's like it's too unrealistic. There's a whole bunch of killing, but I think it's freaking awesome, man. Like they've done a good job with it, especially for Apple TV Plus. Like, they're not a streaming service, so they've done a really, really good job with it.
Yeah.
This is their last season, so it's going to wrap up in a cool way. I do like the concept. The actors are dope. The whole entire thing's sweet. But that came out this weekend, so I watched the first episode of that. But why I bring up DC is that reporters on the red carpet are going to ask anything and everything. So they asked Jason about Aquaman and Ben Affleck coming back, and he's just like, "Yeah, you know what? Fuck it, Ben's coming back." Like he just straight up said it. Like
You just said it.
Like, all right, sweet. Like that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like I love Ben. Ben's in a good spot. He's just like we're excited to do some cool stuff. So, normally in those senses, I feel that like when like his movie's been delayed like now twice, most actors would just like say some BS, like, reshoots or whatever. But like, I legitimately think that with the new Warner Media heads and Jason bringing back Ben, like he actually is welcoming this. I feel that like with Michael Keaton, maybe I feel like Jason Momoa, who's a loyal dude, was just like, why, like, Ben's right here. Why are we, doing that? So I'm happy for that news. But I saw C, and have you ever watched it?
No, I've heard about it. I think the premise is interesting from what I read. He also thinks it's some of the best stuff he's ever done. So there's that.
Dude, it's really good. It's like even the first season where it's like we're still trying to like accept this concept of like no sight in the world and all this stuff. Like, how do people do it? It's like, well, how do fucking blind people work now? I mean, it's hard. It's not as harder than ever, but like, they figure it out somehow. So yeah, no, it's fucking cool. Definitely, I would suggest if you have nothing to watch and you're trying to look for something new, definitely pop that on and see if you like the first couple episodes.
Yeah, you know what? We didn't really I know you kind of brought it up when you were talking about C. We didn't really address the Warner Brother delay of those two movies, and if I felt like it was a bigger deal, it seemed like a bigger deal. But then I kind of realized that like it kind of works out in favor, especially for Shazam getting pushed back because now it doesn't have to like compete against Avatar, the Avatar sequel. It'll have
Yeah.
more IMAX. It'll have more IMAX screens in March. I know it's an even longer wait for Aquaman 2. That's all the way of December of next year. But they said it needed more time in post production, which makes me believe that it's it's like you said, Ben Affleck Batman
It's
stuff.
welcome. It's welcome.
Yeah,
It's welcome readings or some stuff
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
So it of course the narrative too with the delay is that like they still don't know what they're doing over there. I actually
Which I
thought
get,
this.
dude.
Actually,
I
yeah, I
get.
thought these delays were a bit more positive though, where it's like, all right, I can see you're giving Shazam the old Aquaman spot because you need to fill that spot in March. It also benefits Shazam to not compete against what might be the second biggest movie of the year, or could be, I don't know, like Black Panther and Avatar. They have tough competition from Top Gun Maverick to top that, but like it's going to make a lot of money, and I think Shazam would have gotten not completely lost in the shuffle, but it would have been not smart to have those two movies open so close together. So
No, yeah.
that was a smart move. And mixed in with all that other news, they also said like there were some HBO Max releases that were going straight to HBO Max that are now getting a theatrical release. The new Evil Dead movie is going to go to theaters instead of HBO Max. They're rebooting House Party that is going to theaters and not just HBO Max. So I feel like with every like negative Warner Brothers story, they try to mix in some like good to like make people feel a little bit better.
I have to imagine the PR office or the PR floor in Warner Brothers. There's just people like lying like face down on their desk, just like like they're so tired, but the phone's ringing, so they pick it up and they just like put it on their ear, like what now?
I know.
God?
I
like what? But
yeah.
with all that being said, to the delays, as we've been talking about on the pod, they're trying to find their new like Kevin Feige role. Rumors are they have found him. And his name is, I just had it, Dan Lin.
Yes.
Who is a very successful producer behind movies such as Robert Downey's Sherlock Holmes, Warner Brothers' popular Lego movie and its spinoff.
He did the It horror franchise.
It too. Yeah. Per the report, if Lin gets the job, the role as head DC movies would bypass 3 separate division heads. Warner Brothers Pictures heads Michael DeLuca and Pam Abdi, HBO and HBO Max chief Casey Bloys, and Warner Brothers TV chair Channing Dungey. I swear to God, that's the name. Dunge by Dungey. And put control of DC hands in one person. So if whatever he says goes,
he would be reporting just to
David Zaslav.
Yeah, and we should point out too that this is it's just talks at the moment. I think they're still working out from what I heard just the logistics and like the money, of course. And he also has his own production company, and they're trying to figure out how that would all work as well. But his name didn't really bring up any negative. I didn't see anything. People being like, "Oh no, why that guy?" I definitely saw more positive things for him than I did when they brought up Greg Berlanti being the person. So, I had like there were some people on G Reels that messaged me and said like because I mentioned the movies that he produced, and they're like, "Oh, that's not enough for someone to spearhead like the next 10 years of like DC film and like TV or whatever." But I mean, I think they're going to be very careful about who they pick. I mean, I would assume they have to be very, very careful.
They're not going to like pick someone random. And I read this a while back, but there's always this movie, Justice League Mortal. Mm-hmm. It's always this like movie in DC, like it literally in lore, like fucking. It was, oh my God, I think it was Guillermo del Toro. Wrote a script, had like everyone like picked, like Armie Hammer was going to be Batman. And I think, thank God that didn't come out. Yeah. But apparently Lin was up for the job of like producing it. And like, I guess during his interviews, he was like, this is my dream job. Like, this is what I set out to do. And I think I would assume that he's just kind of like like ticked at him for a long time, being like, let me, where can we work on? What can we work on? And then all of a sudden it's like, dude, I've actually done successful DC properties. Yes, they are Lego and for kids, but
Yeah.
still great. I've done I've done a reboot, not a reboot, but like a soft reboot, which connects as a secondary, whatever with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everyone loves Sherlock Holmes, and still don't know why we don't have a third one, but finish out Moriarty. But like those are solid like franchises right there. They had a
He
clear
also
idea.
produced the live action Aladdin too, and that made a lot of money.
I didn't see Aladdin, but if it was good, then I'm like not surprised because But
yeah, it made a lot of money. Yeah, like I mean, so he clearly knows what he's doing. I mean, I think with anyone being suspicious of like, oh, does this person have what it takes? Because it is like there's this huge like architect role that you have to take on by like being in charge of like what's going to happen with these franchises and properties like for the next 10 years. And I think there are a lot of comparisons to Kevin Feige. I mean, Kevin Feige, even before he became the guy that we know now, I mean, he was heavily involved in like a lot of like he worked with the original like X-Men stuff. He was there for some of the Spider-Man stuff. He wasn't a huge role then, but he got to learn a lot during that period.
It's not like none of us. It's not like any of us Joe Schmo entertainment buffs were like, "Yep, Kevin Feige, get that guy."
Yeah, exactly.
And also, like, he wasn't Kevin Feige the way we know until like Phase 2.
Yeah,
like
no one really knew what he was capable of. I think.
Maybe I don't even know if he was actually a producer on like the first 3. I mean, we can look that up, but like I would put it at a 50-50 chance Kevin Feige is actually a producer on the first 3 that came out, including Hulk.
Yeah.
Including Incredible Hulk, with Edward Norton, which I guess is more canon most. But yeah, I guarantee you he was not. Eventually, it became like, man, this guy knows his shit, and we'd rather have one person making decisions. Then it became like Kevin Feige, I'm the god. But yeah, I guarantee you he didn't no one knew who he was. But so I'm excited for that. Other stuff I heard was that Warner Media signed the first. Oh, I don't know what the term is for this, but when a director makes something, they have first look deal.
Oh, first look deal, yeah.
First deal with Matt Reeves.
That was also mixed in with like it was like weird. It was like delays and then like look at this good good news.
A lot of good stuff that came out of like whatever media day and all that crap. But like it's just the overall sentiment. It's like, dude, we're not getting any movies from you. I think that really is now like the case of just like what all right, we get you're in turmoil, we get all this, but like, can you at least just put a movie out for us? Like we want something.
Right. And this bodes well for the future of like the Batman sequel as well. Because remember, we were like, oh, they haven't greenlit it yet and all this stuff. I mean, they're not just having him do Batman projects. That's not what the first look deal is. But it does bode well for like that he talked about how they're already writing it. So like it's a little bit more positive than the news that we got before where they're like, oh, they haven't made a decision on like the Batman sequel. But it looks like, his Penguin show is still moving forward at HBO Max. So I think it was a good thing to secure him and secure that kind of talent. They kept comparing him to Todd Phillips. So there's a lot of like Todd Phillips is their guy with like the Joker stuff, and like they have a lot of faith in him and his projects, and they apparently have that same level of faith in Matt Reeves. So it makes sense to sign him to a deal like that. He had one with Netflix, I guess, and there's like they made a lot of questionable decisions lately, but holding on to talent like that isn't one of them. So that was really smart. And it was good that they got it out there like when they did to kind of be like, well, everything here isn't like screwed up.
I just think I think that like, and again, I'm not bringing up Zack Snyder just because I want to bring up Zack Snyder, but the case study of really deteriorating a relationship with a very popular director, which people get excited for when he is making a movie, kind of like was like, ooh, God, we need to like at least give these guys the respect they deserve as artists and as businessmen, because they all have their own production companies. They all want to do it their own way.
Yeah.
So I think that learning experience where it's like we did kind of lose out on a guy who like has a lot of good like ideas for movies, and then Netflix was just like, yo, what up?
We'll let you
and
do what you want.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
gave
And
him
now they
gave
have
him creative freedom. That's what all he
and now
wanted.
they have like they have the next Star Wars extravaganza thing you can compare it to. So I definitely think they're learning to like lock in some directors. If you don't think if you, again, like they could be like, you know what, we're not feeling it, or we just don't have the money, which I
Yeah,
also think
that
like
was another weird. Did you see that part of
I was
the
just about to
about why they
say, yeah.
delayed? They said they delayed Aquaman and Shazam because they only have enough money to like promote, market, and release "Don't Worry, Darling," which we're going to talk about a little bit later, which is Olivia Wilde's movie, and Black
Yep.
Adam. So they're like out of money. I was like really?
It, like you can't okay people listening, you have to realize this is a new company, yes, but it's a merger of $2 billion
Yeah,
multinational companies. Like if I guarantee you they like Zaslav is like, hey, guys at Discovery, where's the billions of dollars that we have for all the animal documentaries we do and all that? Can we borrow some of that real quick? Like
can I?
you've had your time. There was like everyone under the sun did a pandemic. Like, oh, look at the world changes when people don't interfere with nature type deals.
Yeah,
Yeah, we need that money back. I find that wildly incorrect. I mean, if it's correct,
yeah.
whoa.
I mean,
But if
it kept getting out there. I mean, I
like,
thought it was like a big old rumor, and it does sound like a rumor, but I can also see it being very true. Like
I know, I
if
can't, I can't, I can't. They have so much money, you can't even like, you can't. No, like literally, no. If you can't come up with $200 million as a studio, that's a huge fucking issue. You know?
and I also want to throw out there, like I know that "Don't Worry, Darling" has the potential to be like an awards contender. But like,
I fucking
how much would it even cost to market that and promote? I mean, I know it's like it's a big cast, but it's not like a huge movie. So like, I feel like would be on their low end unless they're planning some. I mean, some big lavish like award season campaign. Then maybe I
oh,
could see it being
no, dude,
expensive.
I mean, they probably were, but that's all fucked to shit now.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to get into that. But
I
yeah.
mean,
They're
yeah.
and this is all Warner Brothers too. Warner Brothers is like, I thought we only had to worry about DC, and now we got to worry about like Olivia Wilde and her
Well,
people.
dude, it's wild. It's wild
It's
to me that
wild.
Olivia Wilde, like, wild to me that Olivia Wilde somehow like, you know how we talked about how Margot Robbie like is like one of those like it girls in Hollywood, not like in the sense like I need her, but like she's a like a boss bitch. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Olivia
yeah,
Wilde, shockingly, is in that realm too.
yeah. Okay, well, right, I know we want to talk about some of the DC stuff first. I really want to get into it.
We
I mean,
talked about DC.
I know you want to bring up the Zack Snyder stuff, like what they said in that Variety.
All right. So just fast forward. There's an article on Variety, and they're like kind of just like going through everything, like what to do next, like what to do with the Flash movie, what to do with next, and it's just this horribly written article, just like trying to like. And again, they don't point out that everything that like the fans were like mad about was with the old regime.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, they're being
I
lumped into
really,
like.
I really want to know if like Variety is like somehow owned by like the old Warner Bros. And they're still just fighting for them because like they're just attacking them and just like, well, what do we do? It's like, oh well, Flash has been the best one ever, but Flash has been the best movie rated since The Dark Knight, which I've heard before. And
Yeah,
then it's like, well, Ben Affleck's going to be in it again, and now we don't need another retired Batman. It's like you're supposed to be like either making a point or like hyping it up. You're just being mean to be mean. And then the last thing in the paragraph was there was insider what was it case insider like turmoil over
yeah, over
yeah.
releasing the Snyder the over the releasing the Snyder cut of Justice League because they felt that it shouldn't have
Some
been released. It
some
shouldn't have been
people.
released. Some people who are anonymous, I guess, sources, insiders, whatever, said that
Yeah.
it shouldn't have been released because it created this like fan division amongst the fans in the studio, and that kind of started this whole like uh almost like this hit job against Warner Brothers that's been going on since I guess since the all the Snyder cut like controversy and stuff. I don't believe it. I think it's weird to still try to shit on the movie that was successful for you, even if you like didn't like. And
It's
like,
not Warner Brothers shitting on it. It's
I know.
Variety. That is
true.
yeah.
Variety has been on a roll. Like, and they've
Always
written a
do
lot of
this.
articles about this situation
That's not-
that are more like opinion pieces rather than like these are facts. Which is fine. You can write an opinion piece, but then like you also name these anonymous people who you claim to be insiders are people that work at
Industry,
the
yeah,
studio. Yeah, yeah,
studio insiders. It's like, oh, it's not even industry insiders; it's
yeah.
studio
So
insiders.
it's like, let's stop
And
beating the dead horse. Like the movie came out, like it did
it came
well,
out
and
years ago.
and and it
It
and
was good.
it was critically and I want to say financially, but it's hard to tell how financially successful it was since it was on streaming. But like it was successful enough,
And
and
every
like just leave,
and
and just leave
everybody,
it at that.
yeah,
Just leave it at that.
bro, it was so successful they let him release it in black and white
Yep.
monochrome. So like, shut up. And then I just got to call out. I don't know. Obviously, they're probably never going to hear this, but like Heroic Hollywood on Instagram, literally all they did was just screenshot that last paragraph and be like, oh, like, like just doing that. I'm like, that's such like bullshit. Like,
Yeah, if you went on Twitter,
exactly.
if you were on Twitter today, it was like every entertainment person like took that paragraph and that's what they wrote about.
Like just
It
that
wa-
paragraph alone. And
yeah,
it's like, all right, well, you guys obviously love the Zack Snyder pop you guys get by like people like me who would defend it. I'm not going to go online and do it. We'll do it on the pod. But like just that sense of like, you really only need to mention Zack Snyder. You mentioned Zack Snyder's. It's not even like you let off with this statement to make sure they read the whole thing. They literally like put it at the end. So like honestly, I could have stopped reading the last paragraph and been done with the article, and then they added that in. I'm like, fuck this.
They took the clickbaity part of it and just ran with it.
Yeah, and it's horseshit because that movie, what it's coming. Bits and pieces of the Snyderverse are coming back, and there's nothing you guys can do about it. So either buckle up and get ready for some sweet Superman action with Henry Cavill, whatever he says.
That's gonna break the internet if they ever announce that he's back.
Dude,
I assume the internet will be broken.
I know we keep talking about Warner Brothers, but like there's also rumors that
we're the biggest thing in the news right now, so that's why we keep talking about it.
There's rumors that Henry filmed a new post-credit scene with Black Adam.
Yeah, I keep seeing the rumor. Well, they won't let me run it as fact, but like it's a rumor. But it's like a lot of these places that have talked about this rumor have been right about these things before. But I guess we won't know until we see Black Adam until October, which is, I mean, I hope Dwayne Johnson works some magic and they got I think that that would be a true test of Dwayne Johnson's powers
if when playlist like clips this one and they just get the photo of them, Henry and The Rock holding up the whiskey glasses. You tell me that those two men aren't going to be in a movie together.
Yep.
Now
they are friends.
They as friends they have talked about it. Like I would be so cool to play your Superman. So excited about it. Excited. Tired of hearing all this stuff about like the inside stuff. Like I could not care less, but I'm excited. So
I guess one more thing before we go into Warner Brothers' other drama. Ezra Miller, I guess in the middle of last week, reportedly actually met with Warner Brothers on I think midweek to discuss the future of the Flash and I guess his role in the Flash. They didn't really give away a lot that happened in the meeting, but I guess the gist of the meeting was that like Ezra Miller didn't really care about getting help until he saw that they were going to scrap the movie. That was his main motivation to seek help, which kind of seems like, I mean, I guess whatever motivates you to get the help you need, because he clearly has mental health issues.
I think we talked about it last week actually, but just to reiterate, I think it was more of a slap in the head, like whoa,
yeah,
what, like oh shit, like there's definitely been moments in our lives where it's like,
yeah.
So I think it was one of those. I think he cared enough to be like, yeah, I'll get it. But like when they said, you might not be flashing in this movie, man. He's like, whoa. All right, where do you want me to go? Like that.
Yeah.
And again, like you say, is it bad or good? However you get to that step, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. I mean, it may not be the motivation that like most of us would want, but all right, I guess that. I mean, but in his position, that might be the thing that motivates him because it's, he's 28, 29. I don't even think he's 30 yet, and this is something that could very well like this could it could have ruined his career. I mean, like there's still chances to fix it. and I guess there's going to be like a lot of like course correction in the next few months. Like if Ezra Miller can stay like on the straight and narrow, get all their legal affairs taken care of, that he he might do like a quick little like interview before the movie comes out to explain what's been going on. They might even still have the whole minimal press for him just in case. What happens after the release of the movie? I guess that just depends on how well he ends up being. Like, a lot. I still see online a lot of people are pissed off that it seems like Ezra Miller's been given chance after chance after chance after chance when so many people in similar positions have been like cut off right away. But I'm not Warner Brothers. It's not my $200 million movie. It's a lot of stuff that goes into making that decision, and there are also other people involved in this too. It's not just Ezra Miller's movie. So many people were involved in making it, and I know that's a weird thing to say after what they did with Batgirl, but this is it's a bigger brand, it's a bigger property, a way bigger budget. So there's a lot more to lose.
But it's a huge amount to lose because this is also their keystone movie. Like if you want to take any note of truth from this Variety article that we were mentioning earlier, they were correct in saying that like old Warner Brothers heads and now new heads have recognized that the Flash is the key stone movie moving forward because they can soft reset, they can open up the multiverse, they can do anything they want with it if this movie hits and lands. If it doesn't, then we're really in a bad spot. But this is the movie, and like, it's really difficult to be like, do we keep Ezra? Like, because obviously his behavior is reprehensible and he needs help. But when you have so much invested in something like that and a person who's been in movies before as the character, I just think it's not like it's not like James wrote in Iron Man where like we were all like, wait, what? Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. This is again, no, we're not emotionally attached, but it's the key like to doing it all. It's gonna keep Ben in the mix. It's gonna introduce us to Supergirl, which like Supergirl's dope. Like that's like I'm excited to see her in this. Right. And it also because like in real life, not in real life, because there's in the comic book life, she is from a different Earth. Sometimes, that 50-50, she's from a different Earth. So that works. That plays for me. That's totally fine. So, that kind of opens up the world a little bit. And then you have Dr. Fate coming out too. So there's just a lot of stuff with that movie that I think is there. Right. So they're really playing that. Like, we need to like just figure it out, get it done. I don't care. And personally, as a fan, I don't give a shit if Ezra Miller gives a statement or not. At this point,
I feel like I really don't need to hear anything either. Like, I would watch the interview, but I don't need it. But I don't need it either. I don't like. I think we already know like Ezra Miller was going through a lot and has issues, and like you said, whatever motivated him to get help, even if it's just a $200 million movie that might get thrown in the trash. Like if that lit a fire under his ass.
It's not going to get tossed. That's crazy.
Yeah. All right. So Variety was on a roll with more Warner Brothers drama news, but this one was more interesting than I thought it was going to be. So last week, Olivia Wilde does this big cover story for Variety, just talking about like the upcoming release of Don't Worry, Darling, and this is her second directorial effort. She also brought up the whole Jason Sudeikis serving her with the custody papers at CinemaCon, and she threw some light shade at him in that, basically being like she wasn't surprised, but that's why she's not really in that relationship anymore anyway. So there was like a little digs, and then she brought up again firing Shia LaBeouf from Don't Worry, Darling, who was originally cast in Harry Styles' role. She basically said that he had a very combative nature on set, and people on set didn't feel safe. And she particularly was referencing like Florence Pugh didn't feel safe because she's playing his wife in the movie. So that's why she fired him. And then she also had made comments before about firing him. She made a comment back in December of 2020 that she has a strict no asshole policy on her sets. So she's talking a big game, right? So either Shia LaBeouf saw this article and sent an email to
Speaking to the
send the email to Variety, and he basically was like, not only did he send the email to Variety, he sent the email with text messages that him and Olivia Wilde sent to each other around the time that he left the project, and also a video that kind of indicates that like she didn't doesn't sound like somebody that fired someone. Um, so like in the video, she says like, I feel like I'm not ready to give up on this yet, and I am too heartbroken and want to figure this out. I think this might be a bit of a wake up call for Miss Flo, referencing Florence Pugh. And I want to know if you're open to giving this a shot with me, with us. If she really commits, if she really puts her mind and heart into it at this point, and you guys can make peace. And I respect your point of view. I respect hers. But if you guys can do it, what do you think? Is there hope? Will you let me know? That does not sound like someone who is about to fire her main actor. And then he basically was like, he sent the email, said that I wasn't fired. I quit your film because none of the actors had enough rehearsal time. And I guess the best part of the email is that he kind of called her out to tell the truth. Because he was like, I know that you're beginning your press run for Don't Worry, Darling, and that the news of my firing is attractive clickbait, as I am still persona non grata and may remain as such for the rest of my life. But speaking of my daughter, I often think about the news article she will read when she is literate. And though I owe and will owe for the rest of my life, I only owe for my actions. Firing me never took place, Olivia, and while I fully understand the attractiveness of pushing that story because of the current social landscape, the social currency that brings, it is not the truth. So I humbly ask you, as a person with an eye toward making things right, that you correct the narrative as best you can. I hope none of this negatively affects you and your film is successful in all the ways you want it to be. And I think that's the best way to kind of combat something like that.
Mic drop. I mean, great statement by Shia.
So this movie has become like, this was like one of my most anticipated movies of the fall. Like, I just think it gets interesting concept, and I like the cast. But like,
they like Harry Styles they filmed the movie. They put the trailer out. They like, who gives a shit?
Well, I mean, there's all these little things that have been happening before this, right?
I'll rephrase that. Who gives a shit about it now? I totally get, like, if they were in the middle of filming and there was, like, as you're saying, a highly anticipated awards movie, and it's got Florence Pugh, who's on the rise from, all of her other movies, and then Shia LaBeouf coming back from, his
really rough
hiatus, or his weird, he's always been in a weird period, but whatever. And then, yes, this story breaks that he gets fired in the middle of filming and Harry comes in to do the whole thing. I would have cared about this, like, that juicy a little bit. But now it's just like, dude, Shia has all the red receipts, has all the information that we need to, like, make an informed decision. And, just using our brain watching that video, it's like, Olivia, you really
begging him to stay. She was basically begging him to figure it out. She wasn't firing him. And she put it on, like, she was like, maybe this is a wake up call for Miss Flo. So you're putting this on, like, this girl that you're saying that you're trying to protect and, like, trying to keep safe. Like, you're kind of putting some of the blame on her, at least in that video.
I'm happy you brought it up because I was a big fan of Florence Pugh. I never saw whatever her first movie was.
Miss Samara.
I never really never had any interest in seeing that movie. But I've heard she was great in it. Whatever, she was great in Black Widow. But man, I have not heard anything but bad coming from her or her whatever she says about, like, she's difficult. Like,
well,
Florence,
it's hard. I mean,
let me just tell you something, girl. You are a hot European actress. Okay? I'm sorry that you, like, people are just going to see you as that. They don't know you. The consumers don't know you. They don't know what you've done or, your personality. They see a hot actress. That's what they want to see. Okay? That's kind of the reason you get cast on sometimes, because of the certain way you look. Obviously, you have the talent and
Yeah,
the
she was
wherewithal to be a
nominated
great
for an Oscar for Little Women. Like she has
exactly.
talent.
Yeah, she's very good. She's very good. But you can't like just be like, I'm not talking about any of the sex scenes. Like that shouldn't be what an actor's about. It's like, well, I get it. You want to like promote you being an actor, but what did you do in that movie? You acted. There was a sex scene in there. Talk about it because you're with Harry Styles. It's a hot topic.
See,
And
I see your point though. Can you
like,
imagine how like a certain publication or like just imagine if like Extra or Entertainment Tonight, like all the cheesy TV ones, I can
yeah,
see them but ignoring everything about the movie and just be like, well, how was it like simulating sex with Harry Styles? And I can see that being annoying as an actress, and you're like, hey,
yeah,
I put
no,
my heart and soul, put my heart and soul into this, and like this is what you want to talk about, like
totally understand that, but
you
don't
know,
up front say I'm just not talking about it. So it's like, all right, well, it's awkward. Like now, like imagine if you were in there. It's like, guess what? I'm not talking about this, this, and this. It's like,
you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when that reporter. This is when the first Avengers came out. Reporter and Scarlett Johansson and Jeremy Renner are doing press together, and he asked her if she wore like underwear under her outfit, and she was just kind of like, "Why would you ask me that? Like, did you ask any of the guys that? Like, I mean, like, it's just a weird like thing.
no,
It's
no,
a weird thing for a woman to like, you know. And to be fair, I will say Harry Styles was asked by Howard Stern about the love scenes, so it's not just her being asked about it.
yeah, dude,
But
because
I see the point. I see the point though.
and I'm not discrediting your point. Like it's obviously like it would get tiresome to talk about that all the time because like one, it wasn't real, so it's like, oh
Yeah,
yeah, it was great fake sex. Like that's totally lame to talk about, anyways. So people
yeah.
should be able to recognize that. But she from the start, like, just is like, I'm not doing this. I'm doing limited press runs because that's all we want to talk about. It's like, well, you could either do that, get negative light towards the movie, and now everyone's talking about the scene because you don't want to talk about the scene, or you could, unfortunately, and I hate to say it, suck it up to answer that one question, but promote the movie in a good way with Harry, because I guarantee you, Harry. I don't know Harry personally, but he is definitely a respectable man and a good person. So if he's in the room with her and they ask that question, he's like,
he might shoot it. He might shoot it down. Yeah,
exactly.
He might defend her.
Exactly, and that would build good rapport with the movie. Being like, oh look, dude, Harry Styles is coming to Florence Pugh's, like back, like backing her up, and like, dude, that's not the movie. All right, there's a way bigger scenes in the movie than just us,
Yeah.
So that's where I'm like, she's difficult from that. She didn't do anything, and then.
Well, I mean, I will say, we did point out, you already pointed out that she's doing limited press. She's only doing press as far as now for the Venice Film Festival premiere of the movie. Now it did come out more so after this like Shia LaBeouf, Olivia Wilde, he said, she said kind of came out. Then it came out that she was doing limited press. So it sounds like there's not just like, I don't want to talk about the sex scenes. Maybe she's just up. Like I said in that video, Olivia Wilde sounds like she's not defending her. She sounds like she's like,
that's that. I completely got part of the rant. Like in the whatever the video, she says like, I'll talk to Florence about like,
yeah,
practicing more. It's like the only reason Shia left is because he couldn't get rehearsal time with his co-stars. What?
Yeah. Now it could be that he was like kind of combative about it. He could have been like, "Oh, I don't want to do this, so we don't rehearse." I mean, that could be it. I mean, but like, if that is really the reason why like he left, is like, I want to be able to like rehearse and like be good with you guys because like I think this is an important project. Like, it does seem strange that like. And if he was being as combative as Olivia Wilde is saying now, I don't think you call and like send a message like that or send text like that trying to get him, convincing him to stay. Like if he was making people feel unsafe, he would be like, all right, he's got to go.
No, yeah, exactly. And like that's where I'm like, she's like saying she fired him but defended him, so now you're making look. And I think that's another reason why Florence is not going to do press, because she's like, Olivia's not defending Florence, and we don't know the circumstances of what made people feel uncomfortable with him. I mean, I can probably list a bunch of things that would make people feel uncomfortable around Shia LaBeouf. Dude's a little bit off his rocker, but at the end of the day, he is a sweet person. Like he did an entire movie with the Peanut Butter Falcon. Like you have to have some serious patience as a human being to do that and to do it in and day out. Shout out to all the parents and brothers and sisters and cousins who have family members or people in their lives with that situation, but like it takes a lot of patience. So there is a soft side to Shia LaBeouf that like clearly you see. I mean, he's worked with John Bernthal and Brad Pitt and all and Fury. So like everyone talks good about Shia.
Yeah, and I want to point out too that like he was going through a lot. Yeah, he was going through a lot, and he they talked about like his ex-girlfriend that accused him of assault, and he acknowledges that. But now he's with someone else. He has a daughter. He's been, according to him, clean and sober for like over 700 days. So like he has a lot of perspective now. I think to like kind of come at these things in a more positive. And like I did love like if you read his full email to them, he actually thanks Olivia Wilde because at one point Olivia Wilde said in the article that like she's a big fan of like some of his past work, and he like thanked her for like being a fan, but then was like, but let me correct what you said about firing me. So it was like this kind of like back and forth like backhanded compliments, which I thought was kind of funny, but I still think he handled like I love how he ended it though. He put her in a position to like come out and say something, because if she doesn't come out and say anything, she looks like a liar. But he's putting her in a position now where it's like, and I'm sure Warner Brothers is like, well, fuck, I thought we were only dealing with like DC drama. Now we got to deal with like your little indie movie. I mean, not indie movie, but like, it wasn't supposed to have this kind of like press. This was like going to do well for them because like, it's Harry Styles, and he's like one of the well, I don't know, one of the biggest music stars in the world right now. It's a really like, the premise is like intriguing. Like there's a lot behind that movie that like they probably wanted to ride on and sell, and like, and now they have to deal with this like behind the scenes drama that is starting after the movie is completely shot, edited, and ready to go.
And that's why it's so weird. Like if Florence Pugh did the interviews like she would normally do, there'd be stuff to talk about.
Right. But so now it's all on Olivia Wilde, and now that narrative has been put out there, now she doesn't look truthful. Harry Styles isn't really saying anything, but he's dating her. So like he can't really like.
Who's he dating?
He's dating Olivia Wilde. They started dating while they were making the movie. Nice. So like he can't really say anything about like.
Very good for you.
Yeah. All I could think was because like that whole CinemaCon thing, I was like, Jason Sudeikis is an asshole. And then the way she was talking about him, it sounds like he was an asshole. But then seeing her do this, if I was Jason Sudeikis, I would feel a little validation like watching this story come out, because maybe like she's not as like as
and I do have to ask where, because this is one of those instances where an actress or an actor like was on a TV show for like during the 2000s and 2010s when there was actually cable and people used it, that she got so much prominence from being 13. Like, tell me something else, like an actual movie. Like I actually, oddly enough, watched an Olivia Wilde movie last night. I won't tell you what it was. Let's see if you can guess it. But like she has Olivia Wilde? What's up?
Was it like early Olivia Wilde or?
It was Daniel Craig.
Oh shit! Was she with him? Oh my god!
Cowboys and Aliens.
What?
Cowboys and Aliens.
Oh, that movie was awful.
Horrible. Horrible. That's why I muted it.
I was trying to figure out
what movie has she done where it's like groundbreakingly like Olivia Wilde was like, dude, she was great. Like she hasn't done anything, and her name is always a hot topic. And I have to think it's because she's like on the business side of shit doing stuff like Margot does, but Margot's actually good at acting as well. But like I can't think of another thing that Olivia Wilde has actually done that is good.
Well, let me I'm gonna pull up her
house. Yeah, throw up the
I'm gonna throw up her filmography real quick. I mean, I feel like she's been in stuff that I liked.
No, like I'm telling you right now, she's either was like number 3 female in a movie or like hot girl. But like,
okay, she was never really. She was like, okay, it took her a while to be like the lead. Okay, she was on season 2 of the OC for 13 episodes. That's where most of us discovered her. At least I did. Then she was an Alpha Dog. She was an alpha dog.
Okay.
Not really a big part, but like
Oh,
she plays.
oh, oh. Speaking on Alpha Dog, like none of my coworkers or my age have seen Alpha Dog, and it's a fucking tragedy.
Really, that's a great movie. I almost wanted to
Why?
do that as my. I wanted to do that as my deep dive. Maybe that was like one of the.
Dude, people all the time say I look like the kid who gets kidnapped, Anton Yelich.
Oh, you do a little bit.
I do. I
Yeah,
do. If I
yeah.
have curlier hair, yeah. But continue. Alpha
Then she
Dog.
was.
I don't remember her in it. So okay, that
She
one.
was Emil Hirsch's girlfriend. She's only in like a. She's like crazy and blonde and like she doesn't really do
Yeah,
much.
that's one for
Yeah,
me. So I have no idea.
she was in a movie called Teresa. This is a horror movie. You didn't see it.
Two,
She was on a TV show called The Black Dawn, released for 13 episodes. It got canceled after one season.
three.
She was in Year One with Michael Cera and Jack Black. I don't remember her in it.
Oh,
She was in Tron Legacy. She is the female lead in Tron Legacy.
okay, fine. Where did
So
that
then
movie go? Where did that movie go?
they've been trying to make another one. They haven't.
Exactly. And it's always like Olivia Wilde's not attached.
And then after that, she did Cowboys and Aliens, and then she did the change up with Ryan Reynolds and Jason Bateman. She did In Time. She did In Time with Justin Timberlake and Amanda Seyfried.
Yeah.
Damn, maybe you might be right. She was in. Okay, she was on House.
Right.
She was on House from 2007 to 2012.
Okay. She was
So there's
fantastic in
that.
House.
And then she decided she wanted to be a director, and then she directed Booksmart, and that did well. And everyone thought she had a great eye for directing, so she tried to carry that on with like. So she also said in a Variety article that like it's so much pressure on your second movie as a female director because you're not a lot of female directors don't get the opportunity to have like that second chance at second film, right? So a lot of people they said I guess wanted her to make another movie like
You just said her first movie did well. What second chance? She did the first movie well, you get a second one.
Well, she was saying that like they wanted her to do a movie again like Booksmart that was very similar in tone, and then she wanted to do this like this psychological thriller that's set in the 1950s and like even though it sounds completely intriguing, and I think the movie looks really good, and I hope she did a really good job with it. It's unfortunate that like all this stuff is now overshadowing it. I think it's gonna be harder for a lot of, and like I feel bad for some of the other people that were in it. Like Chris Pine is like, well, what am I supposed to talk about? I'm in the movie too, and Gemma Chan's in it. She's in Crazy Rich Asians. She's in Eternals. Like all these other people are in it who are like, well, fuck, what are we supposed to talk about? Like
and that's what my point was. That's what my point was. What's the point I was getting at with Florence Pugh? Like when I was shitting on her, like you from the start set the precedent. But I am not talking about like the one thing people could possibly want to talk about, turning that into the only thing that people want to talk about. To the point now with all this other shit that like all people want to talk about is just the three people, one of which not in the movie. So I don't want to put blame on her, but like I think professionally,
Olivia. This starts at the top though. Olivia Wilde, if she lied and said that he was fired when he really wasn't, that he just like, and of course, everyone's perception of how things go can be different. Like maybe she felt like in some choice words she did fire him, but like no, I mean it just doesn't sound that way. It doesn't like. The at least he came with receipts. I mean, like, and he had a lot. So there was that. I imagine as press people, when we get emails, like if we get the opportunity to talk to these people, I don't know who they're gonna let us talk to. And if we do get to talk to them, it's gonna be like a bullet list of like, don't talk about this, don't talk about that, don't bring this up. And I don't even know who's gonna get paired. Like, I guess you can pair Harry Styles and Olivia Wilde for junkets, but then they're going to talk to them about their relationship more than they're going to talk about the movie. It's just messy. It's like it's unnecessarily messy. Like it didn't even need to go here. But that starts with like, I'm sure Olivia Wilde early last week feels so good about that Variety cover story and like how good it made her look. And then Shia LaBeouf just ripped that apart in like a day. But rightfully so. If that's how things happen, then he should call her out. And he politely called her out. It wasn't like he ripped her apart. It was all very like subtle shade in that entire email.
Like he
So
he
now,
wrote it out rightly. He said like, and he for the right reasons because you can see like dude, like I just don't want my daughter like seeing this later in life and like being like, what the
yeah,
hell, dad? Especially with
especially
the other.
knowing that there's real stuff that he's done. So he's like, he has to explain all the things that he knows he's done to his daughter
Yeah,
when she gets old enough, and to have this kind of like fake narrative out there that he has to explain, even though he didn't do it. He says he didn't. That's not how it happened. I totally get it, and I believe him. I like the moment I read it, I was like, I believe everything that he's saying. And now we're just twiddling our thumbs, waiting for her to waiting for her to respond. And I don't know, I don't even know what she could say other than to say he's a liar. And then you're gonna have a nice little battle of like, he said, she said. And you know what? There was a big debate about whether this drums up interest in the movie. Some people said that it's so messy behind the scenes that they don't even want to see it anymore. While other people who aren't as heavily involved in this kind of stuff are like, well, I didn't know anything about the movie until right now, so now I want to see it. So
yeah,
they say that all press is can be good press.
yeah. And I think and this is actually honestly just a perfect segue to what you alluded to earlier with one of our listeners saying like, what's up with the
Oh,
box
about the box
offices?
office, yeah.
Dude, it's just it's the first summer in 2 years, and I know I use this excuse for a low box office for Maverick. Obviously, I was wrong. People wanted to see Mavericks too.
So
And
wrong.
Maverick was very wrong, extremely wrong. But the idea is still there. Where like in normal times, where like if it was just summer is summer, it's like, dude, we got to get out of the house and like get into somewhere like cold. Let's go to the theater for a couple hours. That
Yeah.
sentiment was literally there. Like like me and my dad lived in when I lived in New York when I was a kid. Like that was literally the thing. It's like it's too hot in the house. It's way too hot to like do something outside. Like let's just go to the movies. Like let's hang out for 3 hours. Like yeah, perfect. No. But
Yeah.
because of streaming, because of the fact that people can travel, it's been a nice summer all around the country. Weather. I think people, as much as they're more selective with their movies. And I also, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think AMC or any of the theaters have those special deals going on where you like get the unlimited pass. 2 movies a day or some shit like that.
They
Um,
I
your
think they're
incentive
still
there
running.
too.
There's like it's like limited like for some of the stuff. I mean, because they still
Yeah.
have to get back into. I mean, I mean, AMC for. I mean, this was a theater that was close to bankruptcy. But I didn't even think they were gonna like reopen. But like they've figured out a way to like kind of thrive. And now Regal, which is like the second biggest movie theater chain in the world, is like had filed for bankruptcy because like I actually want to play it too. The person that suggested talking about this was the real quick,
Yeah. Shout them out. Shout them out.
the real quick film critic on Instagram, and I'm like the what they were trying to say was like, hey, like we're coming off of this like really robust summer, and it was. We had a lot of movies that made like a ton of money this summer. So why didn't the studios think to schedule more content for late August through September? Um, And a good example of this, like there's a movie called The Invitation that opened over the weekend. It is number one. Um, I had saw one preview
Yeah,
for The Invitation.
that's with Cumberbatch and
No, this is a
Zim.
Natalie Emmanuel. She's in the Fast and the Furious movies.
I'm
And
thinking of the
yeah.
one where they kill people at dinner.
Oh, you think about Ready or Not?
No, it's
Well, no,
it,
the Invitation is about vampires killing people in it. At least that's what I read. I don't know.
I'm thinking of a movie. I've seen like the thing where it's like she's like a girlfriend finally gets the invitation to dinner, and like it turns out to this crazy horror thing where like they fucking kill everybody.
Yeah, they're vampires.
What?
I've only seen one trailer for it, and like I didn't even know it was coming out this weekend.
I didn't even know they were vampires.
But it came out, and usually Sony is really good about releasing like blah horror movies to like decent box office. But Deadline made a good point. They said that yeah, the only bragging rights they have is that it opened at number one, but it opened to $7 million and is playing at 3,114 theaters. of all the movies counted this weekend, all box office titles only made $53.7 million this weekend. This is officially the lowest box office weekend of the summer. Not of the year though. I guess 34.9 million back in January of this year, January 28th through 30th, was the lowest we've had so far. But Deadline was saying that they didn't put any money into the movie to like promote it, so it wasn't destined to make any money at all. But they were saying that like what they don't understand is that they believe that the summer proved that like movie going is back. Like people are going in the movies are making money. So even if you have a slate of releases that like are smaller or aren't that strong, why don't you put some marketing spin into helping them possibly make money instead of just kind of like dumping them and then like whatever, we'll come back to life in October. They also pointed out that they can't believe that like arguably the next big movie in October is Halloween Ends, and then they announced last week that they're going to open that in theaters and on Peacock at the same time, and that is to boost subscribers to Peacock. It has nothing to do with like the quality. I mean, they did that last year with Halloween Kills. It didn't really hurt the box office. It still opened to like $49 million, which is great for a horror movie. But a lot of people think it sends the wrong message to like be like, all right, we're also going to do this day and date thing again, when we're also trying to sell the narrative that like we want movie going to go back to normal.
Yeah, well, I hate to break it to you, people, it's never going to be the same. There's definitely going to be those instances when like when we were kids, guys, where like we would all meet up at the theater, like 15 of us, and go see the next movie, where now it's more like, and obviously like we're not in this zone, but it's like, oh man, I'm playing Fortnite on my thing with my friends, and then I can just stream it whenever I want, or like fucking kids pirate now, so it's like, all right, well, I know it's out in China, so I'll just fucking watch it, with Chinese subtitles or stuff like that. Obviously, yes, movies are back with that, but also like I can't remember a time in my 28 years of living, and let's minus that down to about 21, because we're not going to say that I really remember anything before the age of 7. And you should too. But like, have you ever seen such a reshuffle of movies being released and pushed back, and like it's like how they say that we said that Warner Brothers doesn't have enough movies to promote more than like two and enough money to promote. What I actually can like, what if a studio doesn't have enough movies to put out? That could be it. Like you harped on it last week. We were talking about like original IPs. I'm like, dude, like it takes a lot. It takes it's like excuse me. The best way I can describe it is like, you've seen Entourage, the movie. The movie is sometimes it's financed by financiers who just like have hundreds of millions of dollars to just do what they want. Guess what? Been a pandemic the past couple of years, people. They're not going to spend their money on stuff that's absolutely not a surefire, especially when the theaters are closed. So I think it's a lot. I think it's wild to say this, but I think that the reason we don't have a lot of big movies, or like any movies really right now, is the economy is a big driver in the fact that like, yes, people want to spend the money for the ticket, but the question is, do studios want to foot the bill for a potential bust, which would then even put them in more worse shit? So obviously they're gonna play it safe with comic books and shit like that, but I think that the sentiment now is that they feel more comfortable putting stuff on the streaming, because then they can pull back the budget, and then go from there and be like, look, dude, like 2 million people watched in the first weekend. That's fantastic. Fuck off. Done. Next one. But it's one of those things where you're just like, I think we're at a loss of ideas right now, and I think we just need to read some more books and get those rolling. Like, guys, I got 3 series of books. And I've said so many times in this podcast, but like, if I picked one up right now and told you the premise of it, it could be a good. And there's 5 books in there. It's like you can make 3 movies out of this, like, easily. And I personally think it would be good, but like, there's there's so many instances of that I'm just talking about with 1,000 books.
Yeah.
So it's just you gotta figure it out with that too. But it's
Well, I want to point out
also
really quick
it's just summer and it's just really nice out. So
that's
again,
true.
also really nice.
I'm going to point out with this guy in Variety, not Variety, Deadline, because he seemed like he has a personal thing against what they're doing with sending movies to streaming and all that. He says we're all. He says we're already. He says we're already hearing that 20th Century Studios post Labor Day horror title Barbarian, which is getting great test scores, is already set to crash and burn with a single digit opening. And he says, so why didn't the Predator title Prey go to the post Labor Day slot? It doesn't matter that Prey was the number one Hulu movie premiere to date over the August 5th through 7th weekend. How many subscribers did you have Hulu 2 weeks ago before Prey, and how many did you have 2 weeks following? Was that worth blowing $65 million on Prey for? I'm curious how much higher Hulu subs are north of 46.2 million next quarter. Like, basically trying to say that, like, one, because the thing with, like, that's always been an issue with the streaming services is that they don't give exact numbers as far as, like, how well their products are doing. They'll just say, like, oh, it's our number one premiere ever. It's our biggest
Which is
premiere
wild
ever.
too. What is it? Well, they have it with the government, the Freedom of Information Act. I think that should be applied to all. I think that should be applied to all corporations.
Yeah.
When it comes to consumerism like that, obviously you keep your books private, but like this type of data, it's like it is measurable.
Yeah.
But like you say, we go to Nielsen or we go to like other things to get it. It's like why wouldn't you want, like, yeah, if it's a dud, it's a dud. If you got to jump in subscribers, tell us. Don't like hide the facts or something like that. It'd be so much better if like we wouldn't be. I mean, obviously we're talking about it right now, so that's maybe one thing they want. But like, why can't they just come out and flat say it's like, all right, like, why, dude? You know, what amazing if they had like a counter like on their website, like how many subscribers they have.
Yeah.
Like how funny they look. No, that'd be great. it'd be the funniest like streaming wars ever. It's just like, all right, fuck it, we're gonna put it out there, and then like you just see it just like a fluctuate between movie to movie to movie, platform to platform, and they realize, oh shit, people just buy and cancel and make new email addresses and do all this shit all the time so they can watch something free.
But you know what? That's only fair to have that out there because, like, I mean, they have that out there with like box office numbers. They have that out there with like the Nielsen ratings. Like, I think it's fair to know what's like how things are performing. Like, I'm
watching baseball right now. And if you've ever been to a baseball game, they literally wait to the fourth inning of games to tell you the exact number of people that are in the stadium. Like even the Oakland A's, you get maybe like 1,000 people sometimes. Like there are 7,429 people in the stands today. It's like awesome. Like that type of transparency with this would be cool.
Yeah.
Obviously I understand why they don't, because not everyone measures everything the same. Like Facebook measures a view by 5 seconds. YouTube does 8, so it's all matter of semantics, I would say that it's the summer. I just think it's a really good summer to go out and have a good time. As we are doing, obviously, here in the beautiful Hermosa Beach. And then economy with like funding for movies, for those big blockbuster movies. Like none of the big movies that we're waiting on, like Dune Part 2, Aquaman, Black Adam, any of the Marvel movies that are coming out, they're not coming out till later because I think that financiers are like now getting back into it, but they're like, we're gonna wait just a little bit longer. Give it another year of just like give me only the blockbusters, and then we can go to another station where we start funding the other passion. Because like think about it, like has there been like a true passion project that like a director has like in an interview been like, this has been like my passion project for like a long time, and it's finally gotten off the heels in 2020 to 2022? I would argue that there's not been that many. And I think that's also a good gauge of why the box office isn't the way we've seen it in recent years, is because there's not that mix. You're either going to the theater to see one movie or not.
Yeah. Well, box office is currently 30% behind 2019, which I mean, I think just I still think like if you look at what did well this summer, like there was a lot of great. I mean, every article points to Top Gun as being like this is an example of like people are ready to go back to the movies. Um, and but I also think that Top Gun is also an anomaly too. I mean, I don't think that like it, it's not true for every movie that is going to come out that everyone is ready to go back and see it. However, this guy, Deadline, one of the last things he said was like, I want us to get away from the pandemic excuse that people don't want to go back to the movies. It's simply about product. Disney proved that last year by opening a Marvel movie over Labor Day weekend with Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings to holiday record results of 94.6 million. Great movies will get people out at any time of the year. And I think that's also true too. I think it's also the product as well. I think it's like, I mean, yeah, if you put out something that like is worth seeing, then people will see it.
Passion projects, yeah. I think they'll people get excited about directors. Like if Quentin Tarantino puts a movie out, it's like I want to make this for a while. People are gonna go see it. Obviously, he's not a great example because he doesn't really bring that big of a box office to it. So I'll change it to Christopher Nolan. Like if he did Oppenheimer, like that's gonna kill it. When's that come out?
Next year, next July. It comes out the same week. Comes out the same weekend as Barbie. It's very interesting. It's gonna be an interesting twofer at the box office.
I'm not kidding. That would be I might do that. That'd be a
double feature. Double
feature. Barbie, Oppenheimer.
Yep. But I kind of agree though. Like they said, it's also sad for movie theaters because they have no choice as to what a major studio dictates. So if Halloween Ends is going to open in theaters and on Peacock, they have no decision in that. So they just have to deal with the potential loss. And then they're also like, there's a big issue about the Knives Out sequel. They've been trying to get Netflix to release that in theaters, like more wide, and Netflix doesn't. They're going to give it a limited theatrical release, and then it's all going to Netflix because Netflix spent over $460 million to secure the second and third one. So I honestly don't know if it like how that works. If it wouldn't benefit them to release it, I guess it wouldn't because they don't get subscribers from it if they also have it in theaters as well. I don't know how that really works financially for them, but like exhibitors are trying to get them hard to like release Knives Out too.
Dude, I still don't understand Netflix's just whole business
business model.
I seriously don't like it's just wild to me that $14 subscriptions monthly can fund all of this. It's wild, bro. It's fucking wild with no ads. Unreal. I'm watching the Yankee game right now. And fucking just tied it up. Playing the Yankees now. Going on Wednesday. It's gonna be a good time. But no, I can't understand how Netflix you can't get like the only way you can get a more expensive Netflix account is if you have 10 people on it and
10 people on
no
it,
one. Yeah, it's like I already have 4 on mine with my family, so it's like, all right. But I had no idea how that whole works. I want to find a video and be like, hopefully someone explained it on YouTube. How Netflix stays either profitable or whatnot. But yeah, dude, I think if you like the movie you see in theaters, how awesome would it be to just watch it again at home?
Yeah, and that's what some people are saying about the Halloween Ends stuff. I mean, that's what a lot of people did with Halloween Kills. I know I did. I saw it in theaters, and then I watched it again at home on Peacock because it was there.
Yeah.
I mean, some people were like, you could have saw it more than once in theaters, and I was like, well, I mean, I still went. I went and saw it.
Do you expect me to spend more than the normal
amount? I'm not gonna and I love horror movies and I had a lot of fun with it, but I was like, I saw it in the theater. I saw it on the big screen with a nice crowd. It was fun, but then I also liked that I could enjoy it at home. I feel like I didn't take anything away. The movie still made a lot of money, so I wasn't like it failed.
Yes, you didn't go to the movies 5 times, so the movie failed. It didn't crack 100 million. It only cracked 99 point whatever.
Actually, it only made 92 million here. But that's still good for a $20 million movie.
You didn't go 3 extra times. It didn't make $8 million more.
But yeah, I think I agree with you. I think that's the position that we're in. It's the product. It's also, I think the way that the studios schedule their movies or rescheduled and reshuffled from 2020, 2021, 2022. I think some of them even forgot about September of this year. Like, oh, like crap, there's a big hole with like nothing really coming out. Um, but yeah, it's gonna be rough for movie theaters. But I will say the cool thing of like cool movie theater news. I guess not. I guess it is cool for them because Top Gun Maverick is still making them money. It's still in the top 5 uh, box office chart. $691.2 million domestically. It's going to get to 700 million. They're going to make it happen. I don't know if they're just going to like. They already had it re-released in IMAX 2 weeks ago. I don't know if they can do that again.
Wait,
like,
speaking of box office, didn't Avatar get re-released again?
It's getting re-released. Actually, this month, September, next month. So like it's and some people think that might do well, the re-release, because people just want to see something.
I think it would because it's original IP. It hadn't been seen in dude. Like good on them because like as a parent, I would definitely take my kid to see it. Like think about it. You were 20. Besides the one scene that like everyone's like made fun of in the beginning when they're in the forest, doing their thing, but like think about it. Like you can, like you saw this movie at like 15 or like 16, 17. I was like 17, and then maybe you had an early kid, and now you can fucking bring your kid to see this movie, and you're like now you see the next one in like a couple months. So smart idea, I'd say.
It's a smart move by James Cameron and company. Now they can widen that gap even more between like Avengers Endgame and Avatar box office wise. Like,
James Cameron is just like in his office, like his huge office, which I honestly imagine has like a huge fish tank with like Avatar looking
Avatar people. But you know who wins?
Terminator. There's a Terminator in the corner of James Cameron's office. I need to know that. And he's just like, fuck you, Marvel.
Yeah. Well, you know who wins in both of those fights, since fucking Avengers Endgame is Marvel and Avatar is 20th Century Fox, because that's all Disney. So Disney is the winner of both of those scenarios where they're like, yeah, we don't care which one of you makes the most money. Like, you've all made a lot of money. So that means we make a lot of money. But I think for James Cameron, who says like, I remember when Endgame passed Avatar, and he like gracefully was like congratulating him, but I'm sure in the back of his mind, he's probably like re-release it. No, find a time to re-release
it. He immediately called his distribution company. He's like, "We're fucking doing it." He's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "We're re-releasing Avatar. I can't have a Marvel movie beating me."
And then we'll blame it on like, oh well, we need a refresher before the sequel comes out. Like, yes. You could have easily just like put out like a 4K. Like so people can watch it at home, but no, he's like, no, theatrical re-release only so it beats that Marvel movie.
It's gonna do well, and I'm just gonna laugh. It's gonna be very funny. Well, hopefully they upgraded like you can't refilm this shit, but like hopefully they made it like 4K better type.
Yeah, thing. I heard they it is gonna be 4K
and no 3D. No 3D.
Well, a lot of people liked it in 3D. Like,
really? I thought it was like wildly distracting because I was just like that at the fucking trees the entire time.
I need to watch it again because I've seen it twice and I've always been like lukewarm towards it.
Dude, I get Shawshanked by that movie all the time.
It's way too long too. I don't know how you can get Shawshanked, but it's like,
dude, it's because what? No, if it's in the beginning, actually, no, yeah, I get. If I'm not there, I'll get Shawshanked to Avatar all the time. Yeah. I'll put it in my top 10 Shawshankable movies for me. Like, you gotta watch it, dude.
I own it somewhere in here. It's somewhere up there.
There's not a DVD you don't own. Yes.
Oh no, there's been things that I used to like. I don't do it anymore because I get sent more movies now. But I used to like blind buy shit all the time. Like, oh, I didn't see this. It looks good. I'll just buy it instead of like maybe renting it on Netflix or something first at the time when you could like rent individual like movies.
I would love to know your like what the like not now because obviously it's still kind of as much as I make fun of you, Blu-ray's like fucking like dead. But I would love to see in like 20 years when like people have finally given up on Blu-ray and like discs, how much you're collecting. Or
Oh yeah, it might be
like
worth a lot.
like yeah, because like think about it now. It's like baseball cards are coming back. Like that fucking Mickey Mantle card just got sold for like $10.5 million. Imagine like an unopened. Imagine an unopened Avengers and Endgame like hard case would go for like in
Yeah.
20 years. Christine, like I would
Well,
go back through your.
there's a Instagram page called Films at Home. He has a YouTube channel and also a podcast. He's talked to me about wanting to be on to talk about like why he thinks physical media is still so important. I mean, he has 65,000 subscribers on YouTube, and these are all people who are just interested in like collecting physical media still because like they want to because like sometimes when you buy stuff on like Amazon or anything else, they don't tell you that, but like they're in like some of the fine print on some of these things, like if they decide to not house that movie anymore, it's not yours. Like you might have bought it on there, but if they don't have the rights to it anymore and they get rid of it, then you don't have it either. And so like that's why a lot of people think it's important to have like a physical copy of something because it's yours and like it's never going away. I mean, unless you give it
You know
away or
what?
whatever happens to it.
Let's
Like
get him on the pod next. Let's get him on the pod next week because I can't see any really big news coming down unless you want to do another deep dive.
yeah, I mean, either way, I'll talk to him because, like, he
Yeah,
really like. Because I agree with him. I mean, as you can see, I do. I mean, I
and
can't even show you.
like I just said.
I,
I don't.
I can't
I'm
even
not
show you
agree.
the other part of my room because, like, there's no room left in here. So there's like movies like stacked on my speakers and like other locations of the room because I don't have any more space. I have to buy a bigger.
Just so all the listeners know, on like Thursday afternoons, Gaius takes about an hour out of his day to put some light music on and dust all of his movie cases, which I completely just made up, but the visual of that is too awesome to not say.
No, and
But yeah, he has a shit ton of movies.
and what's even more absurd is that I think like there's certain movies like the original Halloween. I think I have like 7 different copies of it because there's been like different like editions of it that come out.
Dude, imagine in fucking 20 years and you have the entire complete set. It's still in like pristine condition, and you like got like a fucking horror buff, and they're remaking it and everything. It's hot again.
Yeah,
Just saying, man. It's one of those things you're like, So
yep.
much as I make fun of it, yeah, no, physical media is definitely. But I would love to hear more from what's this podcast guy?
It's called Films at Home. Films underscore yeah at home.
So
yeah.
I am yeah, we'll plug them, but yeah, I'm definitely I would like to hear more about his physical media because it's a hot topic. I mean, it's not just like as he said, it's not just DVDs and stuff. It's a lot. It's baseball cards. It's fucking pins. It's all this stuff. So I'm down with it. I think that would be a fun episode for everybody to listen to too.
But, I think so as well. But yeah, I think we're coming to the end here, huh? This is
definitely. It's one of those days where we're just like I mean, we can talk about it. We can talk about some more shit, but it's like I don't know. But yeah,
well, it's funny because I feel like I didn't expect to get as deep into that "Don't Worry, Darling" stuff as we did, but I know I thought that was like
it surprised people. I know what I'm talking about. I'm surprised, but yeah, no, it's yeah. I just love that I just love that you realize that Olivia Wilde has done absolutely nothing.
No, it was like I wish. I mean, I was like looking at my phone. I was like, wait, I feel like she was in more stuff.
Nothing.
Like, but she's just like, not saying she can't act, but I think like for a lot of people, Olivia Wilde was just like gorgeous, and that was the first thing that like
extremely limited range.
And she used to be married or engaged to a prince back in the day. That was the one thing I used to know about her.
She's an extremely limited acting range.
All right, I don't know. I have to like revisit some of her stuff.
Just watch House.
It could be. I should watch. Well, I was gonna watch. She's on the OC as well. She did 13 episodes of that, but then I try to think of her character in Alpha Dog, and that's pretty much the same character. Yeah, maybe you're right.
She wasn't great in Tron.
Well, you know what? She found her niche behind the camera is where she's found her true calling. I mean, unless she sees the sophomore slump. If she gets the sophomore, unless she experiences the sophomore slump, because we don't know. I mean, I'm hoping it's good, but the sophomore slump can happen to a lot of filmmakers. And I hope she doesn't do this because I feel like she's the kind of person that would. But like, let's say that it came out and it didn't do well, and then she kind of felt like she couldn't really like direct other stuff because it didn't do well. And I think that she would blame the fact that like she was a woman that directed the movie that didn't do well, and that's why it's been harder for her to come up with her third feature. I'm not saying that's what she'll say if it flops. I'm just saying it sounds like something she might.
I would bet my very limited bank account that is exactly what it's happening.
That is what she would. It would somehow not be like her fault. It'd be like us not supporting the movie. It reminds me of like what Elizabeth Banks said when she directed that Charlie's Angels reboot with Kristen Stewart, and it flopped. Yeah. And she blamed men and people not wanting to see like female action heroes. And then someone was like, what about Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel? They just named all these other ones, and she tried to say like, well, they're based on like big IP that's connected to like more male dominated projects. But like, it's just a stupid thing to say. It's just like, no, your movie wasn't good. It has nothing to do with like the fact that you're a woman and that it was led by females. I've seen so many female-led action movies and have liked a lot of them. It's like, so yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Something happened on the baseball game, guys.
Yeah, they just intentionally walked there and judged. What a bitch.
That wasn't about Elizabeth Banks or Olivia Wilde.
No, sorry.
He's different.
Fuck, that's bullshit. Wow, that's horse shit. All right, anywho. Yes, I am gonna let you do at least one of the sign-offs now, because yeah, you got to do one of them. It can't just be both, because I can't just go from one to crazy all of a sudden.
Fine, guys. Fine. So next week, I think we're kind of in the same boat where there's not a lot of news and stuff. We are going to try our hardest to get through this like very slow September. But I do want to thank people that actually last week's episode did really well on Good Pods, and I think on Apple Podcasts from what I was sent. I got a lot of good feedback just based on like the movie that was chosen. That was all Jack's choice to do Man on Fire. It was really well received, and we were told that we should probably do more like movie reviews. And I'm down for that. It doesn't necessarily have to be like I wouldn't even mind breaking down the movie I didn't like. Like if it was like something that like, you know, like why was it horseshit? Let's go deep into that too. I'm completely fine doing that as well.
I mean, you just gotta, I can't think of a movie I really hated.
Napoleon Dynamite.
I don't. Well, because I only watch things I think. Because I only watch things I think I'm gonna like. So
that's true. I mean, I kind of just like go through everything and hope for the best.
I am gonna watch Samaritan tonight, though.
Oh, I've heard mixed things, and especially even from people that love him. He's having a really rough week. He's going through a divorce, and the movie got not so great reviews.
That's why fucking Rocky's been on nonstop lately.
Well, I mean, we never talked about this, but he's having the whole issue with like the rights to Rocky. Like he doesn't really have them. Another producer does, and he's been very vocal on Instagram with like all his illustrations of like a snake wrapped around this producer's like body and neck, and like basically insinuating that like this guy like has for years like gotten money based on something that is Sylvester Stallone's legacy. So he's had a rough couple of months, and then like the divorce thing kind of came out of nowhere because I thought I don't really know much about that relationship. From what I saw, it seemed pretty solid. But yeah, he's having a rough 2 weeks. But hopefully you'll see it, and next week you can tell us it's good, and maybe I will give him a little bit better week. But yeah, next week, we're just gonna kind of wing it again with news, and if we come up with something cool to discuss, we'll let you know on Instagram or Twitter. But in the meantime, you can listen to us wherever you get your podcast fix. For me, it's Apple Podcasts, but we're on Spotify, we're on Google Podcasts, we're on Good Pods. That's where a lot of our newer traction is coming from, because Good Pods, it's all about helping out independent podcasts, and I've actually met a lot of cool people just on that, especially in the film and TV section of their app. So we're getting a lot of good traction on there, and we're actually really, really well reviewed there. So maybe when Jack does his spiel about leaving a review, he can throw in a little like, yo, you can leave your review at Good Pods as well.
A good pod.
But yeah, you'll be you can listen to all of us on you can listen to all of our stuff on those platforms. And thank you guys again for the continued encouragement and good feedback, and also keeping us in the top 5 on Good Pods. Starting last week, we went back up. I think a lot of that was due to like the bump happened right after we dropped the Man on Fire episode. It was like a day or two after. So I'm just gonna thank Jack and his movie choice and leave it at that. And now
thank Denzel for being a badass. and with that being said, Gaius, this is first time sending us off. I appreciate the sentiment. Appreciate it. Let's do it. We got this. But wait, forget one thing. It's time for the homework assignment, people. Your job this week is to like, comment, subscribe. Tell us what you don't want to hear. Tell us what you do want to hear. Tell a friend. Tell somebody else. Tell your Uber driver about the podcast. We want to get that algorithm on our side. All right, it's the only way we're gonna be able to grow. As Gay said it earlier, we had a good episode last week with Man on Fire. If you want us to keep doing that, tell us in the comments what movies you want us to dive into. I guarantee you, Gaius has it on Blu-ray, and if he doesn't, we'll think of a contest to do it. But tell your mother, tell your father, tell your brother, tell your mother, tell your sister, tell your cousin, tell your aunt, and tell your grandmother about the pod. We appreciate you. Shout out Good Pods. Shout out Playlist Studios. You guys are great partners. And we will talk to you next week. Have a freaking great weekend. Peace.